Many secular people seem to think that religion requires blind faith, this kind of unreasoning, simple, blind belief in usually impossible things. And this is what religion is really about. Now, what's really interesting is that Islam is nothing like this at all. Some other religions, which will be nameless, perhaps had that quality in greater or lesser degree, but Islam does not. And I want to share a few paragraphs from an exciting new book called A Muslim's Guide to Modernity by Serkil Sharif, who is an Islamic scholar based in London. And in the fifth chapter, titled Islam Insists on Reflection Rather Than Blind Faith, he gives us reasons why the Quran invites us to ponder, to think, and reflect before reaching any decisions about faith. And he writes, the Quran invites people, cajoles them even, to employ their sense of reason to deliberate over its message. Thus does Allah make clear to you his signs that you may reason. Quran 2:242. Elsewhere, God asks, so will they not reflect? Quran 6:50. The Quran does not demand blind faith, nor does it ask that we accept, without some convincing evidence, God's existence in the cosmos. Instead, it asks that we reflect and consider as evidence the nature of the universe, and whether it points to an atheistic understanding of the universe that came about by a cosmic fluke, or to the existence of a maker who intended for sentient life to emerge in our universe. The Quran says, indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and in the alteration of the night and the day, there are signs for those of intelligence. Taking a look at the world or at the larger universe has led many people to conclude that there must be an intelligent, purposeful creator behind it all. This creator, sound reasoning can tell us, must be eternal and without cause, but is the uncaused cause of all things. The very existence of our universe, rather than in eternal nothingness, or the emergence of highly complex sentient life, and the fine-tuning of the universe, all this offers proof for the existence of a creator God. Indeed, for a believer, the entire cosmos is full of sawahid. This is an Arabic word meaning witness. The entire universe is full of witness to the awe and splendor of the divine existence. If using our senses or reason to consider the nature of the universe yields some general understanding about God, it is the Quran where the rich details are to be found of an all-merciful, beneficent, majestic God. And just as Islam does not require blind faith in God, the Quran itself insists that it be interrogated to see if it really is the word of God. The Quran says, will they not reflect upon the Quran? If it had been from other than God, they would have found therein many contradictions. That's Quran 4:82. Nowhere does the Quran require blind acceptance of it or its fundamental theological premises. Rather, it insists that people use their God-given sense of reason and ponder over its assertions and truths. And while the final step is ultimately a leap of faith, the actual run-up to it is a matter that emerges, a matter that engages not just heart and soul, but the faculty of mind and reason too. The demand of the Quran to reflect is a general one for those who can only do so in general outlines, and a detailed one for those who have the ability to get into more intricate matters. A modern education should allow most people to fall somewhere in the middle. As for recognizing God through the fitra, or one's innate disposition, then given that the modern world has so radically altered our thinking patterns and how we intuit and perceive things, it would be unwise to use that as an excuse not to engage in some level of reflection. End quote. And that's from a chapter called Islam Insists on Reflection Rather Than Blind Faith. It's a lovely little book there, The Muslim's Guide to Modernity. And there's another book, much more famous and well known at the moment, is Stephen Mayer's book, Return of the God Hypothesis, 3 scientific discoveries that reveal the mind behind the universe. And some very distinguished scientists on the back cover, including a Nobel Prize winner in physics, who endorsed this as being a very brilliant book, a very clear exposition of the scientific evidence for design in the universe. And whether or not you agree with the intelligent design hypothesis, there is lots of interesting evidence of signs in the universe that point to God behind the universe, who creates and sustains our existence of the universe and everything in it, of course, just as the Quran says. That's a very exciting read if you've not come across it before. So, yep, just wanted to share those reflections. There are religions, for example, some forms of Christianity do require blind faith, and they seem to rejoice. Some iterations of Christianity, perhaps not all, but many, seem to rejoice in the apparent contradictoriness of its beliefs, that God can simultaneously be mortal and immortal in the incarnation. He could be all-powerful and weak. He can be omniscient or know all things and yet be ignorant, because Jesus said he didn't know things. He didn't know the date of the hour, for example. And this is a cause almost of a kind of pride that this is a paradoxical, contradictory faith, and it's a mystery. This is the M word, the mystery word that gets frequently invoked when people confront them with these seeming paradoxes or incoherences, and they almost rejoice in them. I'm reminded of a saying of Tertullian, one of the early church fathers in the 2nd, 3rd century, who said, "I believe because it is absurd." It's actually a quote from him. "I believe because it is absurd," making a virtue out of absurdity. Now, I don't want to say all Christianity is like that, but certain iterations of it, certain versions of it, certainly do have that flavor, unfortunately. But the Quran isn't like that, and it insists on we look for the clear signs and evidence in the very structure of the universe itself, outside of us, and also within ourselves. The Quran says we look inside and we will see evidence of design. We will see signs within us as well. So an extraordinary affirmation of evidence and design and purpose, and using our intelligence to apprehend it. And this reinforces our natural belief in God because of all this abundant evidence throughout the universe that we see. So there we go. Until next time.